talk about Spurs first then, because it's a big discussion on that.
Yeah.
Should we leave? Should we come back? I want to stay.
We always love to. We love to have a Chelsea fan's input when talking about Spurs. Kwaku knows. Look, it's 16 defeats in 30 league games this season. It's 20 across all comps. I mean, I don't really know what to say to you as a fellow Spurs fan. I mean, I have been very much Ange, and I've really tried against everyone's better judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I've really tried. I tried to be patient. I said, let's try and trust the process. I said, let's get the players back, then I'll make a decision on it. There are no more excuses now, and we've gone so far away from whatever Ange Ball was. I mean, do we sack him now before Thursday? Do we just let the season carry out? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, because of the situation of the Europa League, you kind of can't sack him, because we've been in this situation before with Jose Mourinho. Let's not forget where we sacked him 6 days before a cup final.
That was a good decision.
We saw how that turned out. And I think the thing with all the frustration with Spurs fans is, I think we all wanted Ange to almost be the one.
Yeah.
After going through the kind of cycle of Nuno, Conte, Jose, Pochettino, you just thought, all right, you know what? We finally got a manager who wants to be here, who's buying into it. He's playing attacking football. We're going to give him the time. We're going to give him everything. And as time has gone on, for me, he's just shown that he's not fit for this job, in my opinion. I think in terms of adaptability, I think taking criticism, flexibility in your tactics, he hasn't shown it. I think especially you always see the true colours of a manager when the back is against the wall.
His back's been against the wall for a long time.
Whether that's injuries, whether that's players losing form, how do you adapt? How do you change? How do you tweak things? And Ange hasn't been able to do that. Time and time again, we saw it last season when we went through our initial honeymoon period at the start. And the Chelsea game, funnily enough, last year was actually the first red flag. When we were 9 men down and he was playing that halfway line, high line, and this is how we live and die by. That should have been the moment Spurs fan realised, oh, hold on. We might have a madman here.
But do you know what happened in that situation? You got credit for losing 4-1. I remember coming into work the next day and everyone celebrating the fact that Spurs lost 4-1 in the London derby.
Ridiculous.
And that is a mentality thing. That's not only Ange's issue, it's your lot's issue. Towards the back end of the season, you lot wanted to lose a Premier League match to stop Arsenal winning the league.
Whoa.
And so
you
when
see
you
right there, there's bigger things at hand there.
When you talk about Spurs,
there's bigger things at play right there.
There are bigger things at play. And the thing is, Ange is not the only issue at Spurs, right? Yeah. The Daniel Levy and the protests are correct. I agree with that. But Spurs' mentality, Spurs fans' mentality does not help us well. When I saw that at the end of the season, you talk about red flag being a Chelsea game. The red flag was at the end of the season where you wanted to lose a game to stop Arsenal winning the league. I thought that was absolutely insane.
No, that is just almost tribalism. Yeah. But even the fact that kind of Ange doesn't see where the fans were coming from in that one just kind of baffled me a little bit.
Doesn't get where we stand.
It's just kind of tribalism, to be fair. And why would you want your
that's where the friction started, because Ange came out and basically criticised fans for wanting you to lose. You lot had the chance of finishing in the top 4 last season, and you didn't. And
guess what? It wasn't that game that ruined it. It was losing 3-0 to Fulham after. It was losing to Aston Villa. And guess who was responsible for those games? Mr. Postecoglou.
Do you know what? I
agree with you.
I don't want to be on here being the Ange defender, because I've criticised him, Abby, on the Goal Show multiple times. But he is also the one Spurs manager in the last 15 years that hasn't had a bona fide world-class forward at his disposal. If you look at all the previous managers, they've either had Gareth Bale or Harry Kane. He's the only manager to not have that. You were on your knees after Conte. Last season was a good season, despite the fact that you didn't have a great squad. You finished 5th, probably should have finished 4th. And so, not to defend him, I think he should go, but he's the first Spurs manager in a decade and a half that hasn't had a world-class forward.
You can't just say you need world-class players to thrive all the time. I mean, I'm looking at Eddie Howe at Newcastle. I'm looking at Unai Emery when he came in and took over Aston Villa in 17th and where he's got them to. Sometimes it's man management. And initially, when Ange came in, he showed kind of glimpses of that. But as time has gone on, the cracks have begun to show. And for me, he hasn't been able to react or bounce back well.
I think also
the issue as well, for me, I think, is in the market. When you look at 45 million spent on Brennan Johnson last summer, when you look at the extension of Timo Werner, when you look at kind of the panic buy of Matthias Tell in January, where it's kind of he doesn't really want to come, but we've managed to get him because other situations. But it just hasn't been very well coordinated throughout his time.
I don't think both ways, though.
And I understand the board have a major part to play in it. We've, as Spurs fans, we have criticised the board relentlessly. Yeah. But for me, I'm looking at the manager and saying, what you're in control of, what are you doing with it? And I don't think he's done good enough.
I think also he has been so used throughout his career of having success. Yeah. It's something that's come naturally and come quite easy to him because where he's managed in Australia, Japan and Scotland, right? Now he comes down to the Premier League. We're talking levels now. We're talking levels of criticism, eyeballs on him. We're not. He's in a bubble up in Celtic, best team, the richest club in that league, and if you don't win the title, it's disaster.
Yeah.
Now he's come to Spurs, and he's not dealt with it. He's prickly. I don't think he deals with the media particularly well. His persona. He's got this. Win, lose or draw, he has the same body language. Yet when defeat comes and criticism comes, he doesn't know how to deal with it. He cannot deal with it. Can't cope with it. And I think that spreads through the dressing room. You know, you need someone at sometimes to deal with that. Every manager, I've seen Pep get prickly. I've seen every manager gets through it with it. But there's something about him, he doesn't quite know how to cope and deal with the criticism.
And you know, it's how the mask has dropped as well. Because if you remember last season when he came in, he was the nice guy, the bubbly guy, always talking to the media.
I don't know whether he was. I don't know whether he was.
No, but he was very, friendly with the media and very conversational. And then all of a sudden, as results started to go south, he just became this kind of prickly character, as you mentioned.
But wouldn't you become prickly? He does have to hold a lot of what's gone wrong at Tottenham. Like, there is no doubt about that. The buck will always stop with him. But your persona would change when you've lost 16 games. And
I think it's part of the problem, though. The fact that
he is part of the problem.
Because every defeat that comes, he's waiting for that criticism. You know, he's chippy. He's got to... Come on, you've got to take it. You've got to deal with in front of the cameras.
He said last night that there was an agenda. He implied when he was doing his post-match interview that there was an agenda because of the cupping of the ear. And I'm not going to lie, I think the audacity of cupping your ear when you are 14th on the table and you are, you could be on your 16th loss is outrageous. He then kind of tried to say that he was cupping it so he could hear the fans celebrate. Yeah, it's a little bit wild. I don't think you should be cupping it. I think it was a little bit arrogant. Again, wait for the VAR check to be done before doing that.
I mean, nothing could be more funny than that goal being disallowed.
It was so
doing
Spurs.
all of that theatrics just for the goal to be disallowed.
I was in the gantry. I missed the whole thing. Because obviously I'm watching the monitors here, but I've not seen it yet. But I've heard plenty about it.
He not only cups his ear, it's the wave that follows afterwards. There's a wave afterwards, and I'm like, that's the wave you're going to be doing at Brisbane Airport in a few weeks. So be careful.
Well, it was because about 5 minutes before, the Spurs fans were singing "You Don't Know What You're Doing" when he subbed off Bergvall and brought on Sarr. And obviously then Sarr scores and whatever. But I just think cupping your ear, like, you can't.
But it's an indictment of where you're at as a football club, right? Because all the teams in and around you in the league table, barring Ipswich, who were in League One 2 years ago, have sacked their manager. So for you to get to this point in the season where there's 8 games left and you still haven't sacked the manager tells you that you're not acting like a big club. You need to be proactive, not reactive. When this started, that's when he should have been gone. I think about the best teams. They are proactive. In this country, you are tied to the idea of a legacy manager, a manager that we want to be at the club for 4, 5, 6 years. In Europe, when it's not working, you're gone. And at Spurs, if you're 14th in the table, you should have gone yesterday. He should have gone after that Chelsea game. He should have gone after games in December.
Yeah, but I don't agree
why is he
with
still here in April?
I don't agree with you on that at all, because I think if you have a look around November time, just after we beat City, Spurs were in and around the top 4, right? Then all the injuries happened, and there was a lot of injuries. I'm not trying to make excuses now because they're back, but when you've got 14 players that are out, and most of them are your starting team, you are going to lose games, and the manner in which we were losing, we weren't losing them getting battered at most of the time by 4 goals. It was like the odd goal. Yeah. So I didn't think we should sack him. I was very much, I want to stick with Ange and see that when he comes back, if we can get back to that level of where we were before that. We weren't great at the start of the season, but we were still in games, we were still playing the Ange way. We've gone so far away from that now that I don't think that those players are remotely playing for him. And I don't even see what is Ange ball now. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the stat still stands, but I know a few weeks ago, barring the game where you got turned over by Liverpool, all your losses have been by 1 goal.
But that's what I mean. We're still in games.
Yeah, so there is something concerning in terms of the mentality. I feel like when you're in the games, why can't you get it over the line? Why can't you salvage a point? Why can't you go and turn games around?
But that
Spurs, we just haven't seen it.
That comes back to, again, the system the manager plays. There have been many games where we're winning and leading comfortably, but then we go on to throw the result away. I remember Brighton. I remember that. Brighton sticks to mind. And there have been so many times like that where the game management is very poor from Ange.
Just going back to your point there, Rad, because what you said, sacking him is only half the job.
Yeah.
Right? So getting rid of him, fine. That's an easy decision. The next decision is who do you bring in? And where do you go from there? So there's that. It's a difficult one because what's the next move? How do you play? Look what Man United have done with Emery, right? They sacked Ten Hag, fine. Let's bring in a manager of his mythology, the way that he wants to set teams. United have gone from a bad situation to a worse situation. It's tough to make that right call. And I get why you stuck with him, and I get why Levy's stuck with him. It's coming. Down the track, you know it's coming, right? But it's all about Europa League. As soon as we get the Europa League, we know he's a dead man walking now. When that happens, it's official.
Yeah.
Next season, make that call. Can't do it now. Who are you going to get? Can't bring Ryan Mason again.
No, I agree.
So that's where's the next move?
I totally agree
But James, I don't like the argument in football, because when Forest let go of Steve Cooper, they want to say, let's go get Nuno, who's going to get us top 4 football. When Jurgen Klopp announced he was leaving Liverpool, then Liverpool fans screaming saying they want Arne Slot. I get that, like, there's not a replacement that we all have in our minds. That's the job of Daniel Levy in the board, to go and find a replacement.
This is exactly the problem. Think about, we've had, since Poch got the sack nearly 6 years ago, we have had 6 managers, right? And if we're including Stellini, that little weird spell in that. I don't trust our board to do anything. Don't trust them to spend money. I don't trust them to recruit properly. I don't trust them to get a manager. If you look over the 24, 25 years of ENIC, how many managers have we had? 7, 16? Honestly, we have had so many managers. Every different type of manager, every different style of manager. We've had the progressive manager, we've had the project manager, we've had the Jose type of manager. We have had everything. So that's why I was very happy to stick with Ange, because I thought, well, I would rather just trust and have a bit of stability, because our most successful period under Poch or Redknapp or Yol came when we actually had a manager there for a longer period of time. But he is going to go. If he wins the Europa League, and let's be honest, that's a
right off into the sunset.
It's a real big if. He still has to go, right?
For me, it's right off into the sunset.
It's when you make that decision.
I understand it.
Because Iraola's not going to leave Bournemouth right now.
No.
So the decision has got to be made at the end of the season.
100%.
It has to be made, and it will be made, but
he will still have to go.
There's no point. I don't see the point in getting rid of Ange back in December.
I agree.
Where do you go? Who's available? That's the one. Who is available? Who's going to come in?
If you were to go for someone in the summer, who would you go for?
Well, I don't think you'll like what I'll say, but my preferred choice would always be to have Poch back. But
what is
maybe
this?
I'm a nostalgic kind of girl. Nostalgic kind of girl.
That Spurs fans have with Pochettino. I don't get it.
I would like to have.
And I love Poch. I love him. I saw him a few weeks ago.
Iraola. That's who I would have. I would have Iraola. But my first choice would always be to have Poch back.
Oh my days.
It's like going back.
No, we need to move forward, Abby.
It's like going back to your first boyfriend.
Yeah, literally. That's what it is.
The romanticised about how good I felt back then. He looked after me.
He did.
My first love, my first kiss.
I never felt more in love with my club than I did under
I understand.
I know, but that relationship broke down for a reason.
Exactly.
You can't go back.
It's the same board that's in charge. It's the same board. It's the same board. Nothing's going to change.
But nothing's ever going to change. So we might as well just stick with this boyfriend.
Let me give you one.
You can't go back.
Thomas Frank.
Oh yeah, I've seen you say this. I'm not against it.
Think of the circumstances he's worked under at Brentford.
I get that.
With the smart budgeting, the smart recruitment, the tactical flexibility, the man management, the motivation skills, all the things we think Ange is, Thomas Frank already is. And he's given us the proof in the pudding. Kept Brentford up 6 years in a row, got them promoted, built a legacy there. And now I feel like he is almost like the perfect manager that's ready for that next step. And I'm like, brother, Ange, if you want to ride off into the sunset, I already have the replacements lined up, brother.
There's 2 things. I think that the idea or the notion of Iraola is a fallacy. It's fugazi. It's not a real thing. We have seen Vincent Kompany get relegated with Burnley and get the Bayern Munich job. So Enzo Maresca in the Championship from Leicester get the Chelsea job. Iraola is destined for bigger things.
Yeah,
he can stay at Bournemouth and go and get the Barcelona job in 2 years. That's the level of manager that he is. Thomas Frank, I think, is a great option for you, because he's a man that, like you mentioned, has worked with a limited budget. He's a man that knows the Premier League, a man that's got a set system in the way he wants to play. I think it'd be great for you lot. But another thing you said is that if Ange was to win the Europa League, you'd still want him to ride off to the sunset. I think if I was a Spurs fan, having taken a beating all season long, fans replaying the clip of him saying, I always win something in my second season. If he backs his chat and wins something in his second season, that is something to hang on to. That's something that you can use for next season.
I'm going to throw Ten Hag in the ring here. I'm going to throw Ten Hag.
This is a man who knows.
I'm going to throw Ten Hag in there, because winning a cup, you can win a cup.
Yes.
Right? Roberto Martinez won the FA Cup with Wigan and took him down. All right? You can win a cup. All that does is mask what will be.
Absolutely.
It's the 38 games, That's where you judge a manager, in my opinion, on the 38 games. Cup games, yes, of course, Eddie Howe's doing a brilliant job, won the first trophy, but where's the league position? What are they doing? Still doing well in the league, but the Ten Hag one,
fair enough.
It's a red. That's a red herring.
Over the cracks, 100%.
They felt duty bound to give him another contract or give him another year because he won the FA Cup. 6 months later, they're back in the same situation.
I totally agree. He wouldn't be. I wouldn't keep him now. I wouldn't keep him. I would say thank you so much. I would. Why do it? Like one day.
You delivered your promise. You delivered your promise.
This is the same as One Day Ramos, right? We would had a terrible league campaign.
So
ended up winning a trophy, and then we stuck with him, and then ended up getting Harry Redknapp.
That was actually the last
November.
time we were this low on the table.
Well, maybe we will win it.
Yeah,
maybe this is a good omen.
But the thing is, the difference with the FA
leave.
Cup and the League Cup is that it doesn't deliver you Champions League football. And the difference between not being in the Champions League and being in the Champions League is absolutely huge for a club like Spurs. And so if a man, by hook or by crook, delivers you Champions League football, I think it would be insane to sack him. Like you mentioned, we can't settle on who you should bring in.
You have said to me, just slightly off topic, you have said to me for months on talkSPORT Goals about Ange out.
Yeah.
So how can you sit here now
because football's a results-dependent business. Avram Grant was a penalty kick away from winning the Champions League. After that, I haven't seen him since. I haven't seen him since the Champions League final 2008. Football's a results-dependent business. If you win trophies, I feel like it makes a huge difference, especially if you win a trophy that gets you into the Champions League.
Yeah.
I would be
Di Matteo won the Champions League.
Yeah, true.
Right? We give him a year's contract. And before Christmas, got the sack again. So cups they're brilliant. And yes, well, if he wins it...
We will build the statue,
right?
but he will have to go.
Right, but it's the 38 games in a league season where you go and play Chelsea on a Thursday night, and then you got the weekend on a Sunday. You got another. That's where you judge your manager. Cup games, Spurs. Here's the bad thing: the way Spurs play, you can't. I don't think you'll ever win a league like that, but you can win a cup because you'll get lucky. The way you might get all you need, right? That's what I was saying to you earlier. You got 5 games left, where you got two. Yeah, got 5 games left. You can play well in 3.5 of those and win a cup. You can do that. That is because the way that he plays. I don't see it, but potentially you can win a couple. In the league, the way he plays, the system, everything's set up for that club.
Never gonna work.
Ain't gonna work.